Okay, so I did things a little different this morning. I didn't start out with a 4-hour chart here, but I was looking on my phone at the Thinkorswim platform, which I'm really comfortable with analyzing on my phone, and decided I knew what the market was doing today, and so I got into a trade here. Except that I'm only trading the MES and I'm doing 2 contracts. So I lost a lot of money yesterday, and unfortunately should have taken a lot more risk off the table a lot sooner, and should have stopped trading a lot sooner than I did as well. So I think there's a couple things going on. I'm really nervous about blowing this eval again. I really want to succeed in that, and I feel like I'm not trusting myself perhaps as much as I usually do, just because of that nervousness, because of that pressure. And so I'm making the right predictions. I'm mostly making the right decisions, unless I get tired like I did yesterday and trade too long. And so then I'm reacting and not reacting properly, and then I get frustrated, and then I start to doubt myself even more, and then it's just this bad cycle that and I look back and I think, well, gosh, I was right. I said the right thing, and I just didn't act on it, or I chickened out at the last minute and got out at a small loss each time instead of holding on for what I was pretty certain was a good trade. So anyway, I think the way to deal with that is just to back way out and put a lot less risk on the table. And I have to anyway, just because I'm down to $235 as a margin right now. And so it's not going to take much to blow that. And I really want to bring that back up from the ashes. So that's kind of my goal. I backed way down. I'm going to do 1 and 2 contracts today on the MES. So that means that each point is worth $5 or $10. In this case, it's $10 here. So I will come back around to the reason that I got into a short here. And it looks a little funny because I am getting into a short at a support area right through here. You can kind of see the curve coming over here, and it's coming up. And I thought it possibly might come up to this SMA here, but so that's why I have my stop up here below that last peak, but way above that, and I'm getting into a short. In fact, I'm in a short. Okay, so it's starting to drop, and you can see here that it is at a $15 profit. So that means that at this point it's 10, and then 2 more ticks is 5 more points, or $5 more. So when it started to drop, and it did just like I thought it would, that was awesome, I lowered my stop to minimize any risk, and I started to doubt myself. So I tightened up those orders, and I can't remember what happened. Sorry. Oh, goodness. All right. So anyway, I went out to the 4-hour chart. Let me go back one more time. So I tightened up the stops. I think I got stopped out, but like at a $15 loss. I think that's what happened. So $15 loss right off the bat. Oh, man, I don't know about this. This is scary. So then I went back out to the 4-hour chart and just thought I better record my thoughts on this whole thing. So you can see that overnight we had a great big rise. Actually, it was really, really volatile day yesterday. It went way down and then way back up in a very short period of time, the last 2 hours of the day. And then overnight it went up and made a new high, in the highest in history, and then it's starting to drop again. So that was why I was thinking, okay, overall today I think it's going to be dropping, and I think it's going to get down to this 402 level, this SMA here, which is a long ways down there. I mean, we're talking 50 points. So that would be a huge drop, but very possible. It's within the realm of possibility. I recorded that the peak was at 469, so we're already less or more than 10 points below that. And you can see that the MACD is high, but it's starting to lose momentum and turning and maybe starting to drop a little bit. And you can kind of see that on the 1 hour chart. This green candle that made me doubt myself, that's kind of a pushback that we're seeing here. But I do think we're kind of at a critical point as to where it's going to go next. And you can see the MACD looks like it's ready to plummet. It really does. And so I haven't really changed my mind. I do not want to put too much risk on the table because it's getting really, really close right now. So as I zoom in a little further, I can see, okay, all right, I think we're maybe at the peak here. I think it should find resistance here very, very soon. I put a couple of alerts in right there. The MACD is starting to turn up just a little bit. So I'm just waiting to get into a good trade here. And it leveled out. Actually left the room for a little while. And when I came back, I thought I was on the 1 minute chart here. So I thought, oh my goodness, it's just like it hasn't gone anywhere. So that's a good sign. And now it's starting to have a red candle. So I got into a short position here and then realized I was on the 5 minute chart. As it's starting to drop, I think I'll be all right. But got to the 1 minute chart here, and you can see that I kind of got in at the bottom. But oh well. So my stop is up here. Let's see, so that would be 58 to 55. That's only, let's see, so it's 10, 20, 30, a $30 loss, which is comfortable. It's a little bit painful, but it's comfortable. It's not gonna ruin my account. So that's how close the margins are right now. So anyway, I've kind of figured out that I get really, really nervous. I can kind of tell like how much risk I want to put on the line money wise, depending on my account size. So I kind of try to trust my gut on that. It's like if I make a trade that I'm just getting really nervous about, then maybe I've put too much risk on the line. And trying to listen to that inner voice a little bit better. And I've got my limit order down here. So 48 to 55. That will be a huge amount of money there for this kind of trade, and so I'm thinking that this is probably going to work out. All right, starting to drop, and then we took a nice big drop, and it's only 9:15 right now, so it's looking really, really good. However, I'm trying to play it cautious, and I don't want to risk any more than I have to, and I figure, well, if it's going to go up, I can get into another trade and watch it drop the rest of the way. So I sandwiched that pretty tight and of course got stopped out at a fairly small profit of $22. And then immediately after that, seconds after that, it dropped down to right where I said it was going to go. So I was like, oh, okay, I need to just trust myself. I can't set those stops too tight. But on the other hand, maybe that's a good thing. I don't know. I don't know. When you're this tight, then it's a little scary. All right, so anyway, at least I have made a little bit of profit for the day. I haven't lost anything. All right, and so now the next move, what is it going to be? And we determined on the longer term charts, of course, that we thought it was going to drop down another 45 points or so. So I still think that it's going to be dropping, except that we are sitting at a support level. So I'm waiting for it to go up and peter out. And I decided that this was showing signs of going up to here. And I thought that it was probably pretty certain that it was going to do that. But I didn't actually want to place the trade because we're going counter trend here. And that's not a good idea. So I placed a buy order thinking, okay, it's going to get up to this point probably, and I would put my stop here. So we're talking $52 profit, $22 loss. Just going to put it in there, but I'm not going to actually execute the trade and see what really happens. And sure enough, it only went up just a little ways and then it dropped big time. So I'm so glad that I listened to myself that time and didn't place a counter trend, because that would not have gone well. All right, so now that it is dropping and it is blown through that support area, I decided I'm just going to jump into another short. So I put in my order up here and didn't quite catch it in time. As soon as I put it in, I caught it a few seconds later when it had already started to drop. And I'm only expecting a small portion of that move. I'm not expecting to catch it all the way down to 406, because that would be really silly. So I will show you probably on another screen. The 436 is at an SMA level on a higher time frame. And my stop is way up here above this point. And we're talking, let's see, that would be $100 stop loss. So that's probably not going to stay up there. Sure enough, I moved it down, I think. Oh, no, this is just a longer time frame. Okay, so here we go. I don't think I had time to move it because this was moving so well and so quickly right after the opening bell that I just stayed into it. All right, so the limit order is right on that SMA. Just like I said, the 15-minute time frame is right where I put that, and it looks very likely to execute here very, very soon. Just to make sure that it did and didn't bounce back up, because it's starting to slow that downward trek. I lowered my stop, but hopefully not too close, and I got my limit order this time. So I was very happy with that trade, made a little over $100. So you can see on my account balance here, I did really well. I increased that by about as much as I think I could do today. And I decided to kind of play low-key here and kind of walk away, not really watch it too much. I just set some alerts, and I thought, well, I wondered if it was going to bounce up and then drop down to here, to that 404 level that I was talking about. I was waiting for it to go up and then drop down. So thought, well, I don't want to get in too soon. I just want to wait this out. So here we're kind of going upwards, and it looked like, yeah, definitely it's going to be going upwards and probably get up a little ways farther. I thought maybe even to here. I wasn't really sure. I put in a kind of an order where I thought maybe it would get in if it did get up there, and put an alert and then just walked away. Well, when I came back, it had blown through that point and had gone up to this point, so that looks good. So then I raised up that order and got in. And it went up to that SMA. I only placed one contract this time because I was a little bit nervous about it all. Placed one contract and put a really tight stop there because I don't want to lose anything. So this time this is a great big order. This is like a 40-point drop order here. But with one contract, that's not a lot. So we'll see what happens. Okay, so it's starting to drop. Looking at on the bigger time frame just to make sure I know what I'm doing here, and it really does look like it has made that drop. It has kind of found support right through here, and so it may make a move upward before it gets down there, if it even gets down there at all. So I put the order back up here on 34, which is still a really big trade. That's 10 points with one contract, so that would be $50. Not a huge amount of money, but in this account size, like I said, that's decent. All right, so it looks like it's probably going to be fine. Okay. Got a little worried on the MACD on the 5-minute chart here. It looks like it's just touched and going up, and I'm really hoping that it finds support there. I do have my stop in place just to protect me, just in case. And it didn't break through that, and then it started to drop again. And I went back and realized that my value area high and lows from the volume profile that I set up yesterday were not on the screen, so I went and put that there in a little bit different way. I'm marking it as an orange band, and then the POC is right through here. So those are also some levels that might be supports and resistance levels. All right, so we took a nosedive here, dropped down, kind of kicked myself a little bit for not getting out. I was busy marking up my chart while that was moving and got down to that point. And I could have gotten out at like, what was that? I was like, I don't know, maybe a $20 trade, but I didn't, and it came back up, and I think I'll be all right still. Haven't moved my stop. And it did drop some more. That was lovely. So now it's just a matter of gritting my teeth and hanging on and not getting out sooner than I should. I did lower my stop to to keep it at break even if it did bounce up. And I just couldn't stand it any longer. When it started to hesitate there, I sandwiched the order. And we're looking at $33 right here, so it would be, $29, $28 if it hit that stop. And I think that's what it did. So made just like a few bucks more there. We're inching up. Not too bad of a trade. At any rate, this is, let me go back one more time. So 10:27, 10:20, 36. This is 10 minutes later. And I thought I better record. That's why I did that. I was going to record the account balance that I had when I ended what I thought was going to end. But this is what happened. So when I came back after getting my lunch together, I realized that it had continued to drop past that 50 EMA. Let's go back and look at that. So it bounced off the 50 EMA, went up, and started to make a drop. And when I came back, it actually had blown through that and started a major drop. So now that we're sitting down here, we're at the previous day's POC. And I could see some huge momentum starting to develop through here. So I got into a short right at this point, and as soon as I placed the order, it's like, why didn't I wait just a smidge longer? Because of course it bounces at that point, and I thought, man, that was really stupid. And I thought I had determined ahead of time that I didn't really want to put more than $50 on the line, because otherwise I would have wiped out all of my profit for the day. So here I'm sitting at a $50 loss. I had gotten it up to $3.50, now it's down to $3.01. It's like, well, shoot. So I thought, you know what, it's going to get up to here and then it'll probably drop, but I don't really want to wait that out. I really, really can't afford to do that. So I got out and put an order in up here where I was just going to make myself wait until it got up to that point. Walked away, came back, and look what it did. So this is 11.17. I was like, well, shoot, I could have made that. I could have made that much money. Well, not quite. But had I just hung on, I really, truly got out at the peak there, and then it just made that drop, and it just scared me just enough. So anyway, it's like, well, okay, I predicted it. I played it cautious. I should have not gotten into that last trade to begin with, but I did. And I think I acted appropriately because of that. But it was very unfortunate that I missed out on that. So the next thing is, at this point, if you're looking at the 1 hour chart here, and I don't know if I grabbed that information or not, not for a while anyway, we kind of look like we're making a bounce. And I thought, well, I think I can put one contract on the line here. I think my next prediction will be that it's going to bounce off of this point. It might bounce a couple times, but I think I can afford to lose this much because I'm pretty certain of what it's going to do. And I'm pretty certain it's going to get up to this point here. So I put it by order in here, which was quite a bit lower than where the price action actually was for a while. And of course it came back down, which was awesome, and filled, and then it started to head up. And then as it went up and it broke through that support right there, I bought one more contract. So now I've got 2 contracts. I'm at a $57 profit. So now I've made up that stupid trade that I made before. And I really think it's going to get up to this point. I actually ended up lowering those limit orders a little bit as the SMA dropped. And it went up. I made a $100 profit right here. So now I am just over $404, which is awesome. $150 profit for the day with those tight of margins. I'm very happy with that. So I was pretty certain it was going to get up to this point, but when it started to hesitate, and I had a $100 profit on the line here, I decided I just didn't want to risk that. So I kept raising my stops up really tight, and of course got stopped out. So I made just under $150 for the day, I think, or around that. I can't remember what my starting amount was, but on that trade it was around $100 trade. So that was my day, and I was pretty happy with that. So I need to just stop, and it is 11:45 at this point. I've got other things I really need to do. So that was my day. Worked out a lot better than yesterday. Hopefully I can keep it up.